Hello, I'm Michelle, and earlier this year I finally graduated from college after 10 years, and so to celebrate I took a 3박 4일 trip to Hita and Yufuin in Japan. In planning the trip, our keywords were 여유, 잔잔한 일본 감성, and local experience, so naturally we looked for a spot away from the city, and that's how we landed in Hita. The trip ended up being fairly affordable as well, so if you're interested in visiting Japan, I hope this video can help you plan your next trip. Staying on budget was a priority, so it was perfect that flights from Incheon, South Korea to Kitakyushu, Japan were the cheapest options. Once we landed, we were picked up by our car rental place, and although we reserved our car beforehand, we still had some paperwork to do when we got to the office, so I suggest having data ready for translations. I personally use Tokebi.
Hello.
After getting settled in, we munched on some signature Japanese snacks that we picked up at the konbini, and then we took off.
야자수가 있습니다. 감동.
So the drive from the airport to Hita would have been around 1.5 to 2 hours, but we got distracted by a pretty neighborhood off the highway and took a random exit, so we ended up taking a longer route, but it was so worth it to drive through the towns.
Gloria and Michelle in Japan.
Woo! Our first stop was Mameda-machi, an old merchant town that dates back to the 17th century. The town gave strong tourist destination vibes, but the preserved buildings were a charming sight to see, and the lack of crowds helped retain the quaint and nostalgic atmosphere. I've also seen that it's a popular option to rent a bike to explore the town, but 저는 자전거 잘 못 타서 패스했습니다.
맛있는데요?
Before checking in to our Airbnb for the night, we stopped by a grocery store where I was pleasantly surprised by the prices for sushi and sashimi.
지금 다이소에서 나와서 옆에 있는 마트? grocery store 같은 데 왔는데요. 이 가격이 참... 여러분 사과가 얼마인지 궁금하시지 않나요? 얼마냐면요. 묶음으로도 팔지요. 그리고 딸기 너무 이쁘지 않나요? Featuring our snack, hilltop. Cool. 엄마 줄 고구마 스낵 샀어요. 안녕하세요. 저희의 숙소를 소개합니다. Ready? 여기입니다. 이쁘지요? 프리 파킹도 있어요. This is our street. Hello. 숙소에 입성을 하였고요. This is our room.
We stayed at Yasuragi, an Airbnb with a private onsen bath as well as a view of the lake. After taking a nap and failing at getting Gloria tickets for a concert, we got ourselves to a local izakaya where Papa Go made me think that I could order... yeah. The place was run by an elderly couple and was filled with locals when we got in. After a quick trip to the konbini, we spent the rest of the night munching on snacks we got earlier and said goodnight. Day 2 of our trip began with a walk around the neighborhood. It featured cherry blossoms about to blossom, kids at a nearby school singing, my very swollen lips, and overall, 힐링 그 자체였습니다. I was reminded of the neighborhood park I grew up going to, shout out to Clark Park, which added to the laid-back, nostalgic feel I was hoping to get out of this trip. After a peaceful bath, we headed out for the day, our first stop being a local cafe. Everything about this place, from the decor to the music and food, was up our alley, so Gloria and I were internally squealing for the entire visit.
우리 이쁜이 미셸. 영상인가요? 네. 이쁜 사람이 찍어줘서 이쁘게 나오나봐요.
저분도 저기 들어가셔.
이게 진짜 미쳤어요. 모든 게 에스테틱하고 모든 게 힐링하고 모든 게 너무 청량한데 커밍하고 너무 미쳤어요. 너무 좋아요. 같이 해줘서 고마워. 이거 같이 찍어야지. 이러다 둘 다 차오면은 호다닥 하겠지만
For the second leg of our trip, we drove an hour east to Yufuin, a resort town at the foot of Mount Yufu. While Yufuin didn't have free parking, Gloria managed to find an inexpensive option within walking distance that operated on an honor system. After a quick meal, we strolled through the neighborhood but were 기빨려 pretty soon at the crowds and decided to head over to our Airbnb for the night. But of course, not before we stocked up on some more snacks.
Okay, time to eat konbini goods. Alright. Alright. 푸딩.
이거 보여줘.
I don't know what this is.
모찌 롤케이크.
모찌 롤케이크. 그리고 오늘 카페에 가서 I really wanted iced coffee, but like a sweet latte, but I didn't know how to order it, so I ended up drinking just an iced americano. So I was craving something like this. 그냥 아이스 라떼에 설탕 넣은 것 같은 맛? 그러니까 막 바닐라 라떼 이런 맛은 아닙니다. 오케이. 자, 푸딩? 아니야?
기다려.
자, 그럼 저는 롤 케이크를 먼저. It tastes like the pudding that I used to get for my school lunch in America. Agree? But it's a lot prettier. 스낵 파티를 열었습니다.
파티.
이거 맛있어요. 이거 짜서 맛있고 얘도 스윗한 걸로는 괜찮았고 This is, it's good. School lunch. This tastes like 빈츠. This is right. Yes, this was good too. Very good. 아까 못 찍었던 숙소 투어를 지금 찍으려고 하는데 지금 뒤에 보이시는 이 빌라가 다 저희 겁니다.
이번 여행은 숙소가 다 했다 할 정도로 this Airbnb was just as amazing. We had the whole house to ourselves with a fully stocked kitchen, living room, tea room, and a private onsen. After checking in, 그래도 유인 왔는데 뭐라도 보자는 마음으로 근처 tourist attraction인 Mount Yufu로 드라이브도 가봤는데요.
저희는 지금 Mount Yufu Trailhead에 왔고요. We're supposed to come here when it's summer, so it's all green. But right now, as you can see, it is hella yellow and golden. I'm putting that nicely.
숙소로 돌아와서는 어두워지기 전에 산책도 다녀왔습니다. It was a perfect way to spend some alone time being led by Wanderlust. It hit me for the nth time that I was in a different country on a random weekday, walking around on roads that are part of other people's everyday lives. And I'm so grateful that this trip was filled with these moments of realization. For dinner, we got to a local sushi restaurant owned by a friend of our Airbnb host. I got to try toritan for the first time, and my goodness, it was so yummy. Yeah. And for icha, we went to a nearby izakaya where I enjoyed endless plates of my favorite sushi and had 인생 얘기 with Gloria over house sake.
드셔보세요.
네. 당연히 첫 잔은 원샷이겠죠.
네?
This was my favorite meal of the trip, and here is Gloria being shocked at how cheap the meal came out to be. With another stop by the convenience store, we settled in for the night and talked until 3 a.m. about life, our faith, debated questionable Bible verses, and more. The next day, we woke up to a drizzle which gradually turned into pouring rain for the rest of the day. After grabbing coffee at a cafe in Yufuin, we said goodbye to the town and made an unexpected stop back at Hita to pick up Gloria's charger that she left at our previous Airbnb. 덕분에 벌써 정든 Hita 다시 볼 수 있어서 너무 좋았어요. We were on the road for most of the day except for this spontaneous trip to a random cafe we found at a random exit on our way back to Kitakyushu. Being back in the city felt really weird after 2 full days in the countryside, and I was already missing Hita like it was my hometown. And for our last dinner in Japan, we went with a known 맛집, and it was so good that we both ordered seconds. We said goodbye to our 정든 붕붕이 and checked into the airport hotel, where I went to bed early to take on our morning flight the next day. And just like that, we were back in Seoul. Thank you for coming along on our trip to Japan, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!